Welcome to the Dysfunction Junkies podcast. We may not have seen it all, but we've seen enough. And now, here are your hosts, Chrissy and Carrie.
Hello, junkies. I'm Carrie.
I'm Chrissy.
How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Hanging in there. I have had some great feedback from some of the doctors from our episode last week, both our doctors episode and our Thankful Sunday episode. They were loving it. And friends and family also that had talked about the episode said it was really good. So good job. We had a real win with our episode. If you didn't listen to it and you're listening to us now, go back and listen to our doctor's episode. It was a good one. So
there you go. Okay. Well, great. Well, today I thought it was interesting because I try to find things that are dysfunctional in all aspects of our lives. So I thought, well, pet ownership is a big deal to a lot of people. And sometimes, in my opinion, people have pets that I wouldn't agree with, or a certain number of pets I wouldn't agree with. So I thought we would talk about the dysfunction of pet ownership.
pretty much.
And I figure this is
all
good for you
these
because
things that you talk about, I probably have owned or done. So I guess I'm completely dysfunctional.
wait a minute, you've owned some of these wild animals?
Well, maybe not owned, but worked directly with for people that did
Well, you
own
worked with
them. So
Well, I don't know to what level I can't lie. I'm gonna tell you how I
that's
feel about
okay.
it.
That's okay. Absolutely. So, all right. So
Great. You picked a topic where you're going to offend your co-host. Good job, Chrissy.
An offender. I mean,
I think
if she hasn't been offended already, I don't know what to do.
I was just going to say, for as long as we've known each other and for the diverse topics we've talked about, I think we'll be okay.
Well, yeah. So I'm easy. So I guess I'll start.
Okay.
I've only had in my adult life dogs. I'm allergic to cats. And it's not that I don't like cats, but because I am allergic, and I generally find them to not be as impressionable or have enough personality for me as a dog does. What is that wrong? Have you had a cat with a really big sense of humor or a big personality or something? I've never seen one.
Cats are all about attitude. They've got the biggest attitudes of all.
That's probably why I don't like them, because
They
I'm
rival
the one
you.
with the attitude. Yeah, and I don't need anybody else with an attitude.
Right.
So I've had dogs, and I've had at most we had 3 dogs at once, but they were small. They were Yorkies, which is what we had for a really long time.
Yep.
Now we have 2 golden doodles, which we love. So that's it. That's the end of my boring ownership of pets. Now, when I was growing up, we did have like a cat and a dog.
Yeah.
My mother knew I was probably allergic to cats, but we had a cat anyhow, because it was fun to watch me have an asthma attack. So we had a cat. The cat was generally not didn't bother me. It didn't come around me. Well, I wouldn't want to anyhow. That's the other thing. The cats generally don't like me, so they don't want to come around me. A dog will come to me. A cat doesn't. So forget it.
Wow.
So let's hear your story. What's this? I remember a long time ago, you had taken care of raccoons.
Yeah.
Because they were abandoned, weren't they, by their mother?
Well, yeah, way back in the day, in my late teen, early 20 years, I worked with an organization that did rescue and rehabilitation and release of raccoons. So, in the springtime, everyone's cutting down their dead trees and, cleaning up their yard. And they cut down a tree and, oh no, there's this nest of baby raccoons in there, and they pick them up and scoop them up and bring them to the shelter and say, we cut down a tree and there was these baby raccoons. And we would tell them, take them back, let the mother get them. No, they won't. So then now here we have these raccoon babies. And so, yeah, we would raise them until they were about 12 weeks of age, but with the purpose of getting them to be able to be released back in the wild. So by the time we were done with them, they were not handleable. That was the point. We wanted them to be wild, but that program quickly ended just because of rabies concerns and things like that. Now, we had rabies vaccinations when we were working with them, but yes, there was about 3 summers, I think, that I did some raccoon raising in my time.
Yeah.
Would not recommend them as a pet.
Yeah, I remember you had them in pens.
Yeah.
And I came over there and I'm like, you have raccoons. What are you going to do with that?
Yes.
And then you quickly explained that you were going to release them.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, they look like they're ready to go now. They were just sitting there staring at us.
Yeah.
But
yes.
So okay, so I do remember the raccoon thing with you, and I know that when you were in Nevada, in Vegas, you, I'm sure, worked with.
I did raise
very wild beasts.
Yes. I worked for a company that provided lions for one of the major hotels on the Strip in Vegas, and part of my job was to raise baby lions, and we did a lot of education to the public about lions, and had them on display for this major hotel. But yeah, so I did spend several years walking in the lion's den. Yeah, I did. Absolutely. So also worked for some magicians that had some big cats. Not the big names that you're probably thinking in your head right now. Not that magician couple, but a different magician. So I did work with some tigers too. So yeah, so I've had the gamut of big cats to house cats. I also have a lot of experience working with many different domestic animals. Had my fair share of farm animals when we had our farm back in Ohio. So I had some goats and sheep and horses and miniature cow.
Well, that's acceptable. I have that on my sheet. I wanted to be clear
on the good list, not the naughty list.
Well, of course. I mean, if you have a farm, but basically you're providing these animals with a place that is appropriate for them.
Yes.
I don't understand having. Now, you said you were raising these animals, but you weren't raising them in your residence.
Correct.
You were raising them
on
there are people who take them into their actual residence.
Yes.
Well, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I am not a big advocate of private ownership of big wild, what's the word I want to use? Exotic animals. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Way too often it ends up bad for everybody, both the animal and the person. So, and the community.
And an animal is not going to be, I think you should take into consideration what an animal will be comfortable with and happy with.
Yeah.
And just because you're sitting there calling this big 60, 70, 80 plus 100-pound cat Fluffy, and you think it's funny, doesn't mean that Fluffy is happy being in your crappy house.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about big cats, I mean, they are innately, a lion is a lion, a tiger is a tiger. They're not a house cat, and anytime you take an exotic animal or a wild animal, they have their own innate. So it doesn't matter what your nature and nurture is on it. They've got those innate traits. So it's just like if you have a border collie. Your border collie that lives in the house is probably herding your dining room table because they were meant to be herding dogs. So when they get excited or happy, they're going to run racetracks around your house, around your dining room table. That's innate. They can't help that. That's what they do, So the same thing with the exotic animals. So no, I'm not a big fan. I absolutely support ethical and, AZA affiliated. AZA is the American Zoological Association. So, the facilities that follow those type of guidelines, they understand conservation, they understand behavior, they understand behavioral enrichment. Absolutely, I have no problem with. But private ownership, it gets a little tricky. It's usually someone's hoard that they're trying to support. So they turn into a nonprofit or a rescue. And it just goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Got a lot of
so
feelings about that.
I know. I figured you would.
Yeah.
So dog, cat, bird, fish.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I said those are my
Yes.
basics.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so you got land, you got by air, by land, by sea. That's
Yes.
covered.
I actually have a tattoo
With-
that represents that. Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
You sound
But-
like a Dr. Seuss book over there.
Yeah.
Am I? Oh, nice.
Cat,
Wonderful.
dog, fish, bird.
That's it. That's it. If you can say your animals and it sounds like a Dr. Seuss book, then you probably are
You're
in
okay.
the right place. Yeah, exactly. So, but then you get into the weird stuff. And I'm talking about people who just live in these houses and they just like want to be. Here's the thing. I am going to be offensive and I'm going to say that sometimes people want certain things that are not themselves to represent who they are.
Yes.
They feel like they have to have something that screams to someone,
Look
I
at
am
me.
so look at me. I am so interesting. I have a crazy goddamn animal in my house that most people would not want. And when you come over here, you're going to first go, what's that smell? And then you're going to be like, what the hell is that?
Yep.
And so I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a fan of, we talked a little bit about this for our Easter episode, the rabbit.
Yes.
Having a rabbit, you raised rabbits
Check.
because you were involved with 4-H.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I also had a
And-
pet
and-
rabbit in my house in later life. That was like a cat living in my house, but it was a rabbit. Yes.
Now, was it in a aquarium type facility or was it roaming free?
Both. It had a crate. So if we were gone or at night, it would go in its crate. But then during the day, it would be loose in the house and roam in the house. Yes. It was litter box
And
trained.
do they not? Oh, I was just going to say, did it leave little
No.
nuggets? all
Rabbits
over the
can be
place?
very well litter box trained. So yeah, her name was Tiffany. She was a lion-headed dwarf rabbit, and she was litter box trained. So she would go into her litter box and bop around the house. I just had to make sure my house was bunny proofed, much like how you have if you have children, you child proof things. So you have to watch out for electrical cords and things like that. But again, rabbits are finicky pets. They require a really specific diet to be well cared for and to be, make sure they get all their nutrients that they need. But yes, I did have a house rabbit.
Okay. All right. We're starting to get out of my comfort zone. But the rabbit's an easy one, maybe, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. But okay,
Yeah.
you have a rabbit. The lizards and stuff like that you want to stare at and they stare back at you out of their glass house.
Now,
I mean, and you're feeding them bugs, which now we're going to get into this place where if you have to feed your living thing another living thing, I'm out. I'm out. I just, why?
Yeah.
So you got your snake people. What? Please don't tell me you had a snake before.
I am not big into reptiles as far as snakes. Now, we did have a desert tortoise legally when we lived in Las Vegas, and that was probably one of the most awesome pets that we ever had. He knew his name. He called him awesome. But as far as snakes, lizards, those type, it's just not my thing. I think they're really cool. I love looking at them when we go to the zoo and stuff like that. It doesn't make me want to bring one home and live with it.
Well, that's saying something then, right? I'm on some sort of path.
I'm
here.
not completely off your list. Okay.
No, but so, and then there's another craze that I don't know if it's still a thing or not, but like getting a ferret, which I don't even know what the hell that is exactly. I guess it's a rodent, right?
I'm not really sure if they're classified as a rodent, but they're part of like a weasel type family. Yes. So I think they're really cool animals and I think they're really neat to see them play and be around. I personally wouldn't have one in my house because they stink. And no matter descenting, they stink. So I can't, I draw the line because of the stink with those.
They also rip a lot of stuff up.
Well,
They're a little destructive.
any animal can be. You just got to give them the appropriate behavioral enrichment so that they don't tear things they shouldn't up. Although right now,
behavioral enrichment.
right now I'm having problems with my own little dog because I work in my office and I have a bookshelf, and he's decided that the binders on my books are fun things to chew. So talk about destruction right now, but yeah, so yeah, I don't want things in my home that stink. So the ferrets, no. Mm-mm. Chinchillas, no. They're cute, they're soft, they stink.
They didn't even put those on my list. That's a pet?
Yes.
Isn't that what we used to make coats out of?
Yes.
Are they friendly?
They can be, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or they can also gnaw your face off?
I don't think they're going to gnaw your face off, no.
Oh, all right. Well, speaking of something like that, this is a horrible thing. We're going to get serious for a minute.
Uh-oh.
Because this was something that was out there. If you want the same pet that Michael Jackson had, you already should know that you are not in a good place.
Michael Jackson had a lot of pets, and some of which we've already talked about. What specifically are you talking about?
Let's understand Michael Jackson had a lot of money.
Yeah.
At least so we thought. And he had a place to put these things, and he could pay people to help care for them.
Yes.
Having a monkey run around your house. Yeah, okay, it might be fun for a second. But, what terrifies me about animals like that is if they can get a weapon, how do you negotiate with them to not use it on you?
Very true.
I mean, that's scary. But there was an issue. I'm sure you remember this.
Yes.
It was a few years ago.
Yes.
There was a woman who was raising, I think it was a chimpanzee. It wasn't like a gorilla.
Yeah,
or
I
anything,
think you're
because
right.
that's really terrifying.
I think it was.
And she probably raised it since it was little. And when it was little, it was probably very sweet and fun and loving. But then they get bigger, and then you just never know when they're going to have their day. And it was a horrifying thing. They played the damn audio. This woman, I think she ended up surviving the attack, but it ripped her face off.
Ripped her face off.
But then she ended up dying though. Later.
Did she really?
It was. I think she did pass away eventually.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know if you can look that up, Nick. But because I remember hearing it on different radio shows. She did not die from the attack.
No.
But it definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her friend was sitting there narrating the whole attack because she didn't know what to do. And what the hell could you do?
Yeah.
So that's scary.
Yeah. So I actually almost did own a monkey once.
Oh my gosh. What?
Well, the woman actually wasn't the woman that owned the pet. It was a friend that was over.
I think that's true.
2009, Charlotte Nash was brutally attacked by a 200-pound pet chimpanzee named Travis in Stamford, Connecticut.
Yes, I knew it was in New England.
Owned by a friend, Sandra Harold, mauled Nash.
Yes.
Causing severe life-altering injuries, including the loss of her hands, nose, eyelids, and lips, resulting in permanent blindness. The incident, highlighted reports from CNN, prompted intense debate over ownership.
Is this lady who was attacked, she passed away?
What's that?
She did pass away, though? The woman that was attacked eventually? The victim. It doesn't say anything about where she is now? Because I thought I heard she did pass away. Maybe within the last 5 years or 10 years or something like that. Wow. No, let me hear your monkey story.
So,
come on.
Okay, so I've mentioned before that my husband and I raised service dogs. I've always, from the beginning, always a passion for service dog training. And when I was in my early 20s, it was my early 20s, I came across an organization that raised capuchin monkeys to help quadriplegics in a wheelchair. And part of the process to raising the service dogs is they have volunteers who raise the monkeys for the first 2 years to get the foundation, and then they go back to the facility for their training before they're matched with somebody. So I was under the process of getting approved to do that, but at the time I didn't qualify because of the hours that I was working. I wasn't going to be home enough. And with what I was doing, I couldn't take it to work with me, kind of a thing. So, but it was pretty close. Almost did it. now with the way service animal laws have changed, and that organization no longer is, now it's just, dogs, and in like a few areas you can have miniature horses as service animals. But yeah, that was as close as I came to owning a monkey. In hindsight, I'm glad I didn't do it. I think that was when I was young and was more, oh, that'd be cool. And although, yes, it was for a great cause, I'm glad in my older and wiser state going, yeah, that probably wouldn't have been a good decision. So
I guess if you would have told me you actually did own the monkey, I wouldn't have been terribly surprised. But
yeah.
So, as of March 3rd of this year, she's still alive.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to say that she had passed away.
Probably somebody else that got mauled by an exotic animals who you're thinking of.
It might have been someone else that got, it might have been. So, I'm glad.
Yes.
It's terrible what happened to her. And I understand that people's intentions are good.
Oh, yeah.
They love these animals and they want to, and they feel a connection with them.
Yeah.
And they want to do this, but I just, there's a place and time to say when,
Yes. 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 It's because honestly, any kind of animal you're owning, it really should not be about you. It should be about the animal. This isn't about your wants, needs, and desires. It should be about the animal. How well can you take care of them properly, address not only their physical needs and their mental needs, their nutritional needs, and really understanding that and obeying your local laws, So like, if your area says you can't own a tiger, don't go hide a tiger in your apartment.
That's terrible because it's going to end up eating probably a neighbor, and they didn't even have a chance to know that what the hell happened because you kept it a secret.
Yeah.
So the lady that owned Travis the chimp, she died.
Oh, maybe that's what you're thinking. Then.
Maybe that's what
that's
I
probably
heard.
what
But the woman who got attacked,
she's still alive, and she's actually. She received $4 million from the estate of the animal's now dead owner.
Yeah, there you go.
It sounds there's nothing good.
There's nothing good that comes
in that situation.
No. And and that's where, for me, especially with working in animal rescue, animal control, that's always so hard, is because who really suffers about this? One, the animal, but then two, you have the innocent victims. It's the people that raise the dog that is aggressive, and they're like, oh, but he's good with me. It's like, okay, well, yeah, but he just mauled your neighbor's kid or killed an old woman in her yard. It's like, you got to understand what you have when you own these animals, even whether it's a dog or a cat or a lion or a crocodile or a python, whatever it is, you have to understand what you have, and you have to be the responsible person. And that's what gets me about how dysfunctional society is. They lose focus about what it's really about. They don't think about, they're just thinking about themselves. Oh, I want to own, and they're not thinking about the animal. So I'll get off my soapbox.
If you want to own certain things, if you want to own certain things, buy inanimate objects. Like, I really want this car. Well, go spend your money and then try to figure out how you're going to pay for it every month. But it's not something that's a living, breathing thing.
Yeah, yes.
That there's consequences that it gets affected. I'm guessing they killed the chimpanzee, did they not? They ended up having to kill this animal because of its aggressive attack.
I do not know the outcome of that animal, but it would not surprise me if it had to be humanely euthanized, but I don't know that case. But yeah, it's really frustrating.
So it showed up. I'm sure humanely stood there and said, okay, what do we do now? And humanely euthanized. I don't know.
That's a whole nother topic. You may not want to go down that road. So
no, I suppose not. But what, then it's the survival of who's, I don't know. I can't even imagine. I
know. Yeah.
So the other animal I was going to talk about was, I think I knew somebody who had those miniature potbelly pigs.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say, even though I am all about the cat, dog, bird, fish, and I don't try to deviate too far from that, I did notice these little animals are pretty sweet. And they stay pretty small. If you get the miniature ones, I'm guessing. Now, a
And
regular
if you
potbelly pig, I think
feed them
you get pretty big.
appropriately, if you feed them appropriately, because you can easily get a potbelly pig that weighs 300 pounds if you don't feed it appropriately. So that is an animal that is extremely intelligent. I had the opportunity to work with those kind of animals and take care of those animals. Excellent. They could be excellent pets. They could, very smart. Smell factor right there. That's where I'm out. Can't deal with the smell.
Oh, they're stinky.
They're stinky. Yeah, stinky. I don't do stinky. I may want animals around me, but I don't want people to walk in my house and say your house smells like your pet. And that's always like anyone who's close to me knows I'm always paranoid about that. And so I'll ask them, when you came into my house, be honest, tell me what you smell, because I'm like, I want to know. And because I don't want to live like that. So yeah.
Well, that's a bummer. I was just going to wonder, if you did bring this type of animal in your house, then do you no longer eat ham? Because that seems like that would be really wrong to do that to that animal.
Well, I don't know. We had a cow, but we had a sheep, and
But they weren't in your house.
No, they weren't in my house. No.
So that's okay.
Yeah.
No, that's farm. That's
that. Oh, it's a
having
different
a farm.
That's the exception to the rule. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because farmers help raise things and grow things that we all want and enjoy.
Yes.
So, but you don't have the cow living in the house and then say, "Oh, there's your buddy on the kitchen table." That would be terrible.
Yeah, I hear you. So, one other thing when I wanted to mention before I forget is part of this responsible ownership is people have to know, you have to know the animal that you're getting. So going on to, you didn't mention, you did say bird fish. So bird. But I have a feeling you're not talking about parakeets and cockatiels that have a short lifespan. Or I'm talking about.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They have a short lifespan.
Yeah. Like the small.
Well, I thought there was certain birds that live forever, longer than us.
Yes. And there's what I wanted to go to. Part of responsible pet ownership is, what are you going to do when you pass away? What is your plan for your animals? Now, it's bad enough trying to figure out what you're going to do with your dog and your cat and your fish or whatever. But what are you going to do with your African gray parrot that you thought would be a great idea to buy when you're 50 years old and the bird lives to be 100?
They really?
Oh, yeah. So think about this, people.
What are they eating that I'm not eating? Seeds, I guess, right?
No, they have a very diverse diet, but and one of the decisions Jim and I even made was when our horses were getting older, we said there will be a time that there'll be no more, because we expected our last horse to get me into my 60s and 70s, but that was going to be our last one because, what's going to happen? Well, unfortunately, he passed away with cancer, but I'm like, I'm not buying another horse because, we are getting upper in age, and how fair is that of me to take in an animal that I know could possibly outlive me, or I won't be able to care for? And if I can't care for it, then what's plan B? Rehome it? I mean, that's not always an option, or you don't know who they're going to go to, or, so it's just like, so that really gets me. And I think that's the biggest thing I really have a problem is when people don't have a plan for their pets. They may plan in their will who's going to take care of their kids, or who's going to have their car, who's going to have their house, but they don't figure out what's going to happen to Fluffy. And working in animal control, I've seen it way too many times where I've had to go to the house because someone passed away and Fluffy's there, and the family's like, well, I don't know. I don't want it. I don't want that dog or whatever. And the animal's left at the shelter because you did not plan. So it's not dysfunctional pets. It's, like we said, dysfunctional ownership.
Well, yeah. The pets are just different types of animals.
Yes.
But the people, like with everything else we usually discuss, is where the whole finger pointing. Do you have something you want?
Well, that's why I said, Ginger, our younger golden doodle, might be our last dog.
What?
Well, I mean, if she lives her normal lifespan, we'll be in our mid-60s probably.
Well, then what I think you should do if you get older is probably adopt older pets who generally don't get a chance at having a home.
That's a good plan. You can have a pet when you're older. You just need to have a plan, because there's nothing worse than going into a house when someone passes away and find out they have 60 cats. What are you going to do?
Well, that's
two different issues.
A whole other story.
Right. But still.
You're telling me you should never have said that.
Yeah, I don't
that this is going to, because I will just keep buying dogs because I'm going to think they'll help me live forever.
Yeah,
Why would you say that?
I will have a dog until the day
Did you ever tell me that this was going to be our last?
I said she could very well be our last dog.
I don't see that happening.
Because we'll be in our mid-60s.
Boy, he really doesn't
Wait,
have
what do you think you're going to be dead by
for me? And I'm the one with cancer.
Yeah.
So what the hell is he saying? I'm really not happy.
No,
right now.
I'm trying to be a responsible dog owner here.
The responsible part
just
of it,
plain cold.
the responsible part of it is just having a plan that if you do have a dog or a cat or a pet, especially in your older years, but it doesn't matter. You could be 20 years old. You should have a plan because you could get smacked by a car or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's just having a plan. Who's going to be responsible for you? That should be in your will. That absolutely should be in your will. Like not only who's going to take care of your children, but who's going to take care of Ginger and Booker.
Did we do that in our stuff, Mr. Know-It-All?
What's that?
Did we do that? Did we make arrangements for the dogs since I'm going to be dead tomorrow?
No, I don't think we did anything with the pets in the will.
Well, there you go.
I guess I'm going to call the lawyer tomorrow.
I guess Booker and Ginger are probably coming to Auntie Carrie's house if you guys both die in an accident at the same time.
Well, I'm not going to get no 80-pound standard golden doodle anymore.
Well, that's sure. Now there again, Jim and I were just talking about this the other day because we have the little small dog and then we have a bigger dog. And we were just saying that when something happens to the bigger dog, we probably won't get another bigger dog. We'll stick with the smaller ones because they're only 3 years old. So in essence, if that's 10 years from now, we'll be in our 60s and 70s. So that might not be the best time to buy a Great Pyrenees or a really big Great Dane or whatever, but the smaller dog, that's more, you're thinking better, You still own it. Just have a plan. Just have somebody on your call list that if something happens to me, here's Fluffy's paperwork and here's the vet and here's how you take care of them. Like I have everything written out in my binder. It says what they feed, what supplements they get, where their vaccine, everything is all there. So God forbid if something happened to Jim and I, somebody could know that, at least know how to take care of my animals and they know who to call responsible. My bird that could live 30 years old, 30, 40 years that I already have a backup person, a younger girl that I know if anything happens to me, she will inherit my bird. And I've talked to them about it too. That's the other thing. Get permission. They'll just put their name down and then you croak and all of a sudden knock, knock, knock. Here's Tigo. No. So.
I think you should let people know that look on your face is about me and not about what Carrie was saying.
Oh, I can totally tell that look is going toward you. That's all aimed at you, Nick.
I have to tell you what.
My face right now.
I'm all part of this also is I hate that, when you finally have to put a dog down, it's like losing a member of the family. I don't want to go through that too many more times in my life. That's awful.
It is awful.
I love my dogs, all of them.
It is awful, and everybody handles that differently. And some people like you, that happens, and they don't ever want to do it again. That's fine. That's everyone's choice. But at the same time, like you can, that is part of pet ownership is knowing when you might have to make a decision that again not about you, about the animal, you know. So, but that's being a responsible pet ownership, is knowing whenever your animal is suffering. So, but
Well, Nick is very good pet owner.
yes, you both are.
Even though I'm the one that grew up with pets, he did not have pets
Yeah.
growing up.
Yeah.
So having a pet was new for him, and he's always been good about, you know, making sure,
Mhm.
you know, they have their necessities. They've gone to their vet appointments. They've gotten groomed. He used to groom our Yorkies himself,
Aw.
or we've got the bigger dogs. They go to a groomer, but so he's been very good. And he has, unfortunately, we lost 2 of our dogs during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so I had kids that were home that didn't go to school. So we basically had to do our goodbyes separate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was hard. 2 of our original generation of dogs, the oldest one, the first one that passed away, he died at home with us there with him, because
Yeah.
we were about to get him to the vet, but he didn't make
Yeah.
it. And then the second one we lost was at the vet, but by the time we got there to be able to be with him, he
Yeah.
died before the vet could do what he needed to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It
boy,
is-
this really turned into a downer. I really just wanted to attack idiots who had the wrong pets. This has turned into such a flippin' bummer.
I'm sorry.
Not happy.
Chris and Nick will be in
Oh,
therapy
we'll
tomorrow.
be in an assisted living in our 80s with a dog. I know we will. So whatever.
To my 80s, it doesn't sound like it. So I guess I'll leave you my dog for your new wife and you to take care of.
Oh, that's been a while. You made me cough when I laughed. Oh, that's funny. What?
Yay!
Yay! So,
I don't know how to wrap this up cleanly. We briefly, you did mention about people who have like 60 cats or
yeah,
whatever. That's generally never a good situation.
no, it isn't, and it's usually
There's no
there's a mental health
humane
crisis.
way to have that
Yeah.
many. It's a mental health.
It's a mental health crisis.
So,
at that
yeah.
point. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, having too many animals. Like, how many would you say is too many? Probably 5 plus.
You can't put a number on it, because if you are adequately taking care of them and all of their needs, then too many for one person could be owning 1 dog. Too many for another person could be having 2 cats. Too many for another person could be 8 dogs. It all depends on how well you are able to care for them and provide for them. So that's hard question to answer.
Okay, so you're taking care of them, that's fine. But not too many people are going to visit you when you have,
Yeah, and I know, like, in over the years with me, I mean, there's been times where I've had my fair share number of dogs, and I know that means some people won't visit me, and that's okay. They don't have to come to my house. It's my house, you know? I don't have to go to their house because for whatever thing that they have in their house. Too many kids.
Oh boy.
They don't do their dishes. They let their cat sit on the counter where they're cooking food. Yeah. I won't go back to that house.
Okay, well, I would agree with that.
It's
Generally, I don't want people in my house because I don't care. I just don't want people in my house.
Yeah, I hear you.
don't
And
like
I'm getting worse about that. Jim and I have talked about that since we moved here. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, are we never going to have people over? And I'm like, maybe not. Just a few people are allowed.
But where you are, at least it's somewhat, the temperatures are
Yeah.
okay that you might be able to keep everybody outside.
Yeah, but that means they would have to come in my house to go outside. And I no, we'll meet you down at the rec center. So I kind of got scared the other day because there was somebody in my life that reached out that I have not really been in communication with. And they were all like, oh, let me know when I can come to visit. And I'm thinking like, yeah, never. And then I got scared. I'm like, holy shit, what if they show up on my porch? Like, they ain't coming in.
Is this somebody I know?
I'll tell
can't
you
even
off
imagine.
there. Yeah.
Yes, Ryan.
So the point of the
Wow.
story is don't be the dysfunctional pet owner.
Appropriate pet.
Don't be the dysfunctional
Yes.
pet owner. Follow the local city, state, and local laws on what you're allowed to own. And if you are allowed to own it, make sure you can care for them properly. Make sure that you can provide them all of their needs, you know, their physical needs, their mental needs, their well-being, everything, and that they're not a danger to yourself or society. So that's my pet tip for this episode.
Thank you for that.
Alrighty. Well,
Oh, yeah.
this has been this is a longer one. We got yucky on this one. So, but hey, we are finishing up the month of April, and this is our Autism Awareness Month. So be sure to check out your local autism societies to learn more about autism. If you live in the Worcester area or Northeast Ohio, you can check out the Autism Society in Akron. They do amazing work. They have an awesome website. So here's where I always forget, is it Autism Akron or akronautism.org? But they have great websites. So definitely want to support them this week. Now we've got some changes coming up here in the next month or so. So we are possibly going to be partnering with some other groups that are going to help us with our audio and our video. And so hopefully we'll be coming at you even bigger and better in the next month or 6 weeks or so. So
Yes. All right. Well, that's the way it goes.
go give your dog kisses.
Yeah, especially since it's my last one.
Yeah, right.
Okay. You're good.
That's a wrap.